Hey everybody, JC here with another TNI toy review. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the new DC Comics Icon 6-inch Firestorm figure from DC Collectibles. Now this figure comes packaged in the same style packaging we see with all the icons. You've got the window box with the figure clearly displayed. For this one we have orange and white highlights. You've got the Icons logo down below and the name of the character off to the side. Also it tells us this is figure number 16 in the series. On the top of the packaging we have Firestorm symbol. On the side of the packaging, it tells us the figure is based on the Trinity War storyline. And then on the back of the packaging, we have a look at all the figures in the wave. So the Joker figure's been out for a couple weeks now. The Green Lantern and Firestorm are hitting comic and specialty shops this Wednesday. And then the Static figure has actually been delayed and won't be out until April 2017. Then down below, it tells us the figure concept was by Ivan Reyes and sculpted by Paul Harding. Alright, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside the packaging along with the other contents. Now first of all, you get the little instruction sheet that shows you how the accessories work on the figure as well as the other figures in the wave. And then for this figure, we get an extra pair of hands and then his Firestorm blast effects as accessories on the figure. So you get two different pairs of hands with this figure. You get the closed-fisted hands, which are attached to the figure when you first take it out of the packaging. And these are done with a solid plastic. They're painted yellow. You've got the little black circle on the top. And you'll notice on this one hand, there's some red paint that's rubbed off on the bottom of the hand. That's not really noticeable when you have the hand plugged into the figure, but just wanted to notate that. And you got some sculpting detail here on the side of the hand and on the knuckles, so they look pretty good. And then the second pair of hands we get are translucent plastic. They're yellow translucent plastic and they're sculpted with the fingers open and reaching out, and again you've got the black circles on the top, so nice sculpting detail with those as well. And then you get these Firestorm blast effects, and these again are done with a yellow translucent type plastic. They're not exactly the same. There's a little bit of difference between the two as far as the sculpting goes with the little blast effects on it, but for the most part they look pretty similar to one another. They got the little rings which are done with just a plastic, so you be careful not to break those. And then you'll notice that the one side has a larger hole and then the other side has a smaller hole, and that's because the way you attach these is you actually plug the hands into these and then you plug them into the arms, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so the way you switch out these accessories, so first of all, if you just want to change the hands themselves, you just pull off the hand and you've got the little peg on the hand and the hole on the arm, and then you just plug in the hand you want to replace it with and it'll snap right in. Now if you want to use the blast effect though, what you want to do is you pull off the actual wrist piece of the arm and it pops off, and you got a thicker peg here on the actual arm and you've got the hole on the wrist piece. And so what you do is you remove basically the hand and you just set this wrist piece aside, and then you take one of these blast effects and you take the larger hole side and you plug it into the arm and it should just click in, and then you take whatever hand you want to use and plug it in, and then you've got the blast effect there working. Now the instructions have you using the solid yellow plastic closed-fisted hands, but you can, if you want to use the open hands with the blast effect, you can. So I actually think it looks a little better with the open hands since they've got the clear translucent plastic. So I don't know, it's whatever you prefer, but you can use them with either set of hands. So for the figure itself, I like the head and how it looks. I like the sculpting with the flame on the top with the orange translucent plastic. I think that comes off looking good. Then you can see these little circles on the side for where his ears would be, and I like the way the eyes are painted with the yellow, and then the skin tone is pretty decent. For the rest of the mask, it's done with that kind of red metallic paint, and then he's got this lighter orange colored stripe and circle on his forehead that goes all the way around, so that looks pretty good. Then for the rest of the figure, you've got yellow and then that metallic red throughout the figure. You've got some white striping. These circles on his chest, they look almost like a very dark semi-translucent plastic. It's hard to tell for sure, but I think it is a little bit of transparency there on those circles. Same with the one on the back, and again you've got the white striping, and then he's got this orange striping that goes throughout, like here on his wrist and on his legs and up up here on his waist. So overall, the paint applications are pretty solid, and you've got some nice sculpting on the boots. This is basically a new 52 type costume. The only real paint blemish is that red that rubbed off on the fist that I showed you earlier, and again, you really can't see that when the fist is plugged into the arm. So this figure stands, if you count to the tip of his flame on his head, is just over 6 3/4 inches tall. Here's a comparison with some other DC Icons figures, and Firestorm with the flame on the top of his head is the tallest of the bunch. Here's a comparison with a Mattel 6-inch Superman figure. And here's a comparison with the Hasbro Marvel Legends Iron Fist figure. Articulation, you can turn the head to the left and to the right. He's got a little back and forth movement, but not a whole lot. You can pivot to the left and the right a little bit as well. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint there at the shoulder, so you can get his arm out pretty good, and he's got good rotation. He's got the bicep swivel. He's got he's got a double hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much. Then he's got swivels at the wrist cuff, and then he's got swivels on the wrists themselves. He's got hinges on the hands, so he's got up and down movement with the hands. He has a midsection joint here where you can rotate and you can kind of pivot to left and right. Not much in the way of crunch there, but then he does have an actual ab crunch joint, so he can crunch down about that much, and he can look back pretty good. He does not have a waist swivel. Legs are attached with ball joints, so he can do the splits good. He can get his leg forward pretty good, and he can do his leg kind of out and back. Does not have a thigh swivel. Has a double jointed knee, so good bending there at the knee, and then has the hinges on the feet, so good up and down movement with the feet, and does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I like this figure. I like the look of it. I like the sculpting with the flame on the top of the head with the translucent plastic. I like how the accessories work with the figure. Overall, paint applications seem to be pretty decent, and articulation is decent as well. Now, my only complaint might be that it's a little bit on the tall side. It seems like Firestorm is a little bit taller than the other icons, which I don't recall Firestorm being that tall. The upside to that is that this figure does seem to fit in a little better with other 6-inch scale lines like Mattel and Marvel Legends and stuff. So, you know, if you've been looking for icons to kind of fit in better with those lines, then this might be a step in the right direction. But compared to other icons, he definitely seems a little bit on the tall side to me. But this figure will hit comic and specialty shops this coming Wednesday. We'll have a full image gallery up at toynewseye.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I'll have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, I'll catch you later.